about this stuff from these guys. First, the buildings of Troy taught me to love them. I grew up out in Melrose, and I couldn't stand being out in the country, so I came into the city, called by the ghosts, and went around the buildings, and I thought I was going to be an architect, so I spent a lot of time with Joe trying to figure out if I was going to do that. But when I came back as a young mother, I was trying to figure out why this had happened, why the bridge had landed on the city, and I embarked on this social inquiry to figure out what citizens felt about all of this happening. I really wanted to see if people had had any voice in what was going on. So it was great to get the basics. I have files still. I could have brought down an entire file cabinet of all the documents and newspaper copies. The Rolling Resistance Gary, that had a really nice, these were these great evidence of grassroots missionary work that people who were not blood related to the city gave to the city. And what I found through my oral history, which was funded by New York State Council on the Arts grants, I got a bunch of them to do different projects. I wrote a novel about urban renewal, a comic book about urban renewal. I know I got 5 grants, so I must have done more than those things. I sat with Chuck and got stories about looking at the old buildings as they went, or living in the old buildings and then harvesting the old buildings as these different projects really pulled the buildings right out of the city. And I did get a sense that people were speaking, and as a citizen trying to find my footing, maybe I was asking if I had permission to try to shape the city that I was going to raise my family in. I read the Troy Record, and there were other papers in the 70s that still had lots of opinions, and it was incredible to see the evidence of people, the neighborhood groups, really speaking out and trying to hold on to their property, houses that they had helped build themselves in the instance of the Italians who had settled along Hill Street. The Reverend John Lyons was very involved in helping people speak for themselves against the city. And I had hope that maybe through the mechanisms of people iterating their concern, that citizen involvement might have mattered. But of course I learned through the facts of the bridge on the city, through the facts of the mall on the city, that you can only speak so loudly and it doesn't really matter. I don't have anything bright to say about the citizen's voice and in this administration or any other administration that I've lived through in 20 years that I've witnessed on my own, but it was really great to know that these people gave their time and really tried to influence and really spoke up for the underdogs who were trying to fight the concrete tide that was rolling over us. William Devane, that's his name, right? So William Devane was a Richard Devane. He went to Cape Cod and he had a dream of how to saved Troy. He saw all the malls drawing people away as a downtown businessman. What could they do to save it? And he fell asleep on the beach in Cape Cod and saw a mall landing on the city, and then went to Washington, D.C. and begged for money to get that mall on the city. And we got the demolition dollars for it and never anything else. Carl Grimm his name was always slaughtered for that over there, but he just filled in a hole. That's the dentures that were put on the city after we got the demolition dollars and just left that sitting there. As I look at all the laces of roads that landed and almost landed, my house would have been, I have a house on 10th and Eagle, it would have gone away in that 1968 cloverleaf. Looking at the nexus where Gary saw the riot of people, in 2016 I happened to crash my bike and break my pelvis right there. I think there's some kind of memo from the universe, I'm not quite sure what it is. But I'm really excited that you guys have assembled this history to digest. I do have this comic book that I made to try to create a facsimile of how people spoke up against this. I have a novel that will never see the light of day. But thank you for inviting me, Dan. It's nice to have a community echo consideration of what's been done to us.